Hello class! Today we've got a special lesson for you. Not like those other lessons, this one's special. Today we're looking at Transformers Prime Starscream from our friends at Hasbro. You can see this is a first edition figure. That means it was exclusive at Toys R Us, and it's not the 8th edition or that really crappy 11th edition, which nobody likes. It's number 1, which is good. So we can have a look at the packaging. So over there we've got Starscream in his jet form, which is nice. We got some missiles, which will probably go on his forearms. Pew pew pew, and the wings or something, so he can shoot Autobots while in jet mode. I'm going to grab the camera here. And there we can see nice picture of Starscream, looking like a conniving little prick. 'Cause that's pretty much what he is, right? Has he ever been anything else in any of the incarnations of the show? Like, really, he's always been, you know, kind of a wuss, but he still tries to take over anyway. Got a nice, cool-looking Decepticon logo, just in case you weren't sure that Starscream is a Decepticon, and Decepticons are, in fact, bad, despite what the marketing campaign tells you. You can flip this around, and we can look on the back. And we can see that, yep, there's some Autobots, and Cliffjumper, who's dead, but we keep seeing him, even though he's dead. Isn't there supposed to be a zombie figure of him? I'll buy that one. Anyways, it's 2-in-1 vehicle to robot. That is excellent. And up near the top here, we can see the jet form of Starscream, in case we didn't see it over here on the front. As well, we've got a picture of the robot mode, looking pretty cool. I'm liking that. And then also, we can get RC and Bumblebee. That's excellent. The only other thing I need to point out about the packaging before we move on is it says here, with display stand, avec présentoir con base. Whatever the hell that means. It means with display stand. I'm willing to bet it's just some cardboard piece of crap that's in this packaging here. I will probably throw it out much like I did the Optimus Prime display stand. At any rate, I think that's about it for the in-package stuff. We're going to open up this, and we're going to have a closer look at Transformers Prime Starscream. Alright, here we've got Starscream in his jet form, which is nice. We can have a quick look at that here, even though we won't spend too much time on it. I mean, it's a jet. I'm not really a master on how jets should look, but it doesn't look too bad. We got the missiles here, which weren't in or attached in the packaging. They were separate. We've got them put on here, which is nice. The coloring is more or less what we'd expect from the show. He's kind of that grayish silver. A few different shades of gray. We've got kind of the darker gray here, the lighter one in silver. Plus he has some red highlights, and we've got the nice Decepticon logo there, which is good. The logo's in black, which is a little surprising. I thought it'd be in purple, but that's okay. And underneath we can see all the robot kibbles for his robot mode, which is excellent. Now the other thing, there's actually two things I want to point out before we start transforming this thing, which I am prone to doing, is first and foremost, we have the awesome display stand, Transformers Prime. And we've got a Decepticon symbol and an Autobot symbol, some black stuff, and we can put that there. And like we said, the display stand that it comes with is probably just a cheap cardboard piece of crap that was in the packaging, and that's exactly what it is. And we can put our Starscream on it. Actually, it doesn't look bad, I'll be honest. It doesn't look bad having him on there like that. It's a cheap, flimsy cardboard piece of crap. And even a plastic display stand that had his name or a Decepticon emblem or something would be much better. It just kind of annoys me how cheap it is and how they make this seem like some grand accessory. So this thing is crappy. I'm either going to destroy it or purposely throw it into the recycle bin, because I have no desires of keeping this. I said there were two things. The other thing I need to mention is that I've had just a little bit of alcohol in our intermission, which means if I have a hard time transforming this thing, blame the evil wife.
Hey!
And you know why? She's the one who brought the alcohol home. And so we'll see how that goes. At any rate, let's try Yes, I am. Thanks to her. There are so many bad jokes I can make about that. It's part of being married.
Hey!
Uh-oh. Trouble now. Anyways, she brought the alcohol home. What can I say? Anyways, we're going to transform this dude now. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the missiles, which we'll talk about a little bit more when we get him in robot form. And like I said before, much with the Wheeljack video, my way of figuring out how to transform these little bastards is just to pry at things until they come apart. So we're going to pull apart the legs, we're going to pull the hips there, turn it around, rotate that around, there we go. And then we pop this back into place, there we go. We're going to pull apart the feet, which he's got these sissy little booties that he's got, almost like he's standing on his toes. But we can see there's actually 4 almost prongs that he's standing on. So we'll separate those. We'll flip up those big nasty knee spikes that he has. And actually, we are just about half done because we've got his lower half. The top half is a little more complex to do. We're going to pull that back. We're going to pull apart what are his arms. Fold them down. We're going to pull here. There we go. We're going to fold these back. Fold out his hands. There's one arm. Same thing. We're going to pull that out. Ooh. There we go. Fold his hand out. Put that back. We're just about there. We just really have to deal with his head now and his back. We are going to pull apart his chest, lift up the head, and put it all together. There's his head. There we go. Oh, can't see it. There's his head. We're going to pop that piece down. We got to just, there we go. Now the hardest, most difficult thing for transforming Starscream here is his tail fin. It's one of those bits that you press together and then we have to try to separate. And I don't have much in the way of fingernails, so I tend to find these things incredibly difficult to do. Sometimes I use my teeth, sometimes I use a knife, but since I've practiced this a few times, I can split it there. We're going to pop that on his back, and then his jet thruster we fold down. And his wings we'll just kind of try to put more in a folded position. There we go. Not too shabby. And here we have, I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit for you. There we go. We have Starscream in his robot mode. The one thing they show in the destructions is we've got his little fin he has on his head. And for whatever reason, they always show it being, you can actually pull the thing way back here, like that. I don't know how well we can see it. And then we're supposed to push it down. But even when I fold it back to put him back into his jet form, it never stays. It always goes back down. So, I don't know. Just to be thorough with you, class. Now, we can take his missiles and we can mount them on his arm, much similar to what he has in the show. And there we go. Now, actually, now that we're talking about the missiles, let's talk about that a little bit more. We can see this is kind of like a smaller missile rack. There's 3 of them on here. So he's got 6 in total, 3 on each arm. And in the show, he just has one larger one. And honestly, I would have preferred that, just the one larger missile. So again, anybody out there making customs, proper missiles for Starscream would be greatly appreciated. And I think it's red. I haven't seen him in a little bit. He wasn't in the most recent episode that I've seen. But, you know, I think they're supposed to be red. One bigger one would have been nice. But maybe this was designed before the show came out and they changed it. Or maybe they thought this was better. Or maybe they were worried the kiddies would hurt themselves. I don't know. Now, in terms of his coloring, it's not too bad. It's a little, to me, lighter color than how he appeared in the show, but he doesn't appear in bright lights a lot. There's a few times, and he's usually on the Decepticon warship or out at night, so maybe it's a little bit harder to tell. But, you know, a lot of the dark gray, which we saw in his jet form, with the lighter gray and the red highlights on him, the Decepticon logo, which we saw before. But we see here on his shoulders and here above his hands, he's got blue on him, and now honestly, I don't remember him having blue. I may be wrong, maybe if I go back and check some of the episodes, he does have blue, but I don't remember blue. And so I don't really like that. And one of the complaints I've seen on the web is that, particularly his fin, or his horn, or whatever you want to call it on the top of his head, here it's that light color gray, where on the show it's red. And I think I've read somewhere, I can't remember where I've seen it, someone said, you know what, you can take a red Sharpie and just color it. And I may try that, but I'm not going to do it on camera because of the evil wife, I've had a little bit of alcohol. And again, it's nothing to do with her. She brought it home. But I'm not going to deface my figure on camera. Maybe we'll try it later at some point. But that is one of the complaints. I mean, it doesn't bother me that much. I know that Repro Labels probably has made a Starscream kit of labels you can get. but I don't know how badly I'd want to try to put a little sticker on there. I'm not typically good with stickers. I never was with sticker books when I was younger, and I probably wouldn't be here. But otherwise, you know what, he looks pretty close to how he did on the show, which is nice. The evil wife described him as being bird-like, which I'd agree with. He's very lanky and thin. He looks like he has talons. So I would agree with that assessment. I never really thought of it before that way. The one difference between the figure and the show is that his hands are very clumsy looking and blunt on the ends. Whereas on the show, obviously, they're very sharp when he runs a certain Autobot through. And he does a number of other things to other Autobots with his sharp, pointy fingers. But I guess, you know, that might be a safety hazard or it'd be difficult to do, so they don't have it here. But I like the fact they're not fists either. They're very... Starscream is a talker, and that's the way his hands are presented here, in my opinion. He's a, you know, almost philosophical the way he looks, which is kind of cool. Now, in terms of the articulation on this figure, his head moves a lot, can go all the way around. We can move it up and down. It's on a ball joint, which is great. We can do lots of things with that. The shoulder is also on a ball joint, so it's got a full range of motion there. It's also, there's another joint, so we can move the shoulder up and down independently. We can bend at the elbow. We can rotate. It's part of his upper arm here. And his wrist does bend forward and back as part of his transformation sequence. His waist does rotate. Whoops. But, again, it's part of his transformation. But it looks pretty horrible when you start rotating him at the waist. It looks like you're literally separating two parts of his body. And I don't know how much I'd recommend that. And his hips, well, they're ball joints. So we've got a pretty good range of motion there, which is nice. His knee bends, and then his feet bend as well. Again, part of the transformation. Now, something else I'd like to point out, again, regarding to some of the plastic, and I think it's a safety kind of thing, because we don't want people hurting themselves, apparently. The missiles, the little pointy fin on his head, as well as his knee spikes, and the cone for the air, or the jet mode, are all of a much softer, malleable plastic. And that must be so kids don't stab their eyes out or something. To me, that's just Darwinism, but, you know, c'est la vie. It actually is mildly annoying. I don't like it, but, you know, it's one of those things I can live with. Altogether, you know what, it's a decent figure, but there is one other thing I wanted to show you with this figure. If we stand him up in his robot form, we can grab Optimus Prime, and we can stand Optimus Prime kind of beside him. And we can see that Prime is bigger. He is the Voyager Class 1, but not by a whole lot. But he is still bigger than Starscream, which he should be. So in terms of scale, I'd say that's not bad. I know there's a number of different versions of Optimus Prime, which I think the rest of them suck, in my opinion. But it's nice that he is bigger, because he should be bigger than Starscream. So that is kind of nice. And if we compare him even to Wheeljack, whom we also looked at recently, they're a similar size, even though Wheeljack does look smaller. Which I think probably is pretty close too, because Starscream is tall and lanky, whereas Wheeljack is not. So that's nice. Whoops, Wheeljack just fell down, but that's okay. So for Starscream, you know what? I think he looks good. He's missing just a little bit of articulation. What I'd really love is a little bit here in the wrist. I really wish we could turn that over, but maybe it would be difficult. And if we had another piece of articulation here in his leg, so we could turn that a little bit, maybe at the ankle, that'd be nice as well. But with most Transformers, if it's not part of their transformation sequence, we're probably not going to get it. Which, I guess, is not a horrible thing. But it would have been nice. But that's okay. Again, some of the coloration is clearly off, and other things are apparently off, maybe just with my recollection, but it's not too bad. If I were to grade this figure, which I am prone to doing, I would give Starscream a B+. I do like it. It looks very close to me how he looks on the show. It's got all the character. And one thing I almost forgot to point out, I don't know how well we can pick it up with the camera, but he's even got that little bitch smirk that he is known for, at least more recently. We can see it there a little bit. Maybe a closer up would be nice as well. But we can see he's got that smirk, which he should have. A lot of his figures have had that since at least the time of Armada, if memory serves, which is nice. And I do like the fact that he has that. It's very, very cool. So, as I said, B+ for Starscream. I like him. He's part of the first edition, which, you know, I guess maybe, I don't know how great that is, but it'd be nice to pick up. I would recommend getting him, especially if you're a fan of the show. We can put him on his crappy stand here, which It's going to be difficult. No, screw that. We're not going to try it. So at any rate, I think that's our lesson for Transformers Prime First Edition Starscream. That's about it for me. Thanks for watching. Class is dismissed.